Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you very much for joining me on another adventure. Really appreciate it. I almost got that one right. Oh, I just tripped over another.
Your vocal warm up.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you very much for joining me on another adventure. I really appreciate it. I'm out here in the awesome Aussie Bush and I'm not flying solo today. I've got my good mate, Ads. You've seen him from videos before. If I remember correctly, videos such as 2 tarps and a twig stove, a seminal classic in the bushcraft world. And yeah, we're out on another adventure. It's a beautiful day. I was out last week on a solo trip, and then I think it was about 4 degrees at this time of day, maybe a little bit warmer, but now it's a very pleasant sort of 13, 14 degrees, and yeah, it's nice to be out exercising and getting some fresh air. The plan for today is to find an awesome slot canyon, descend down through a pretty impressive set of cliffs, and then find an old river flat and set up camp and yeah, just relax in front of the fire and enjoy being outside again. So yeah, stick around, it's gonna be a good one. You can see the forest here has been hit pretty hard by the recent fires, and this area is a little bit further on from my last video, but yeah, unfortunately this area has been burnt too. Not quite as bad, which is good. There's a few areas that we rode through earlier today where there's still a bit of vegetation left, which is really good to see. But yeah, you can see behind me the trees are pretty well burnt here, so yeah, this goes to show how extensive and horrendous those fires really were. Oh man, what a great view. Yeah, it's always impressive being in these landscapes where you can kind of get a good vista of what's going on. And yeah, unfortunately the fire has reached down into the valley below, but there's still plenty of green down there, so it has got away with some vegetation left over, which is really good, and there's certainly lots of regeneration going on. So one of the reasons I want to come to this spot is there is supposed to be a really narrow pass through the cliffs that gets you to the valley below. So yeah, we're probably about 40 to 50 meters above the start of the valley wall, and I think just behind me here might be the slot canyon, and it looks terrifying. It's super skinny. I'm not sure if we're going to do this. We'll have to double check and see if this is actually the right one, but yeah, we might have to search around for another pass through the cliffs. Oh, cool cave.
Yeah. I've got a feeling.
Yeah, that looks
Going that way.
essential, doesn't it? Wow. There's two really steep and deep slots here, so yeah, wow. Not sure how viable either of these are. Oh, guys, this is crazy. I've never seen a landscape like this where the sandstone's carved into these slots before. And there's not just one or two there, they're all three here, and they go right down to the bottom, so 50, 60 meters in some instances here. We think we found what is the pass. It's pretty skinny and it's pretty steep. So we're going to have a bite to eat before we attempt it. And I might go down without a pack first just to see, get a better sense for it. We've got a good line of visibility from the top here, halfway down to the cliff. But from then we can't see exactly what the route is. And so that's only halfway, so you'd still fall to your death if you got that wrong. So yeah, gonna have a bite to eat, refresh the energy, and then come at it with a fresh pair of legs. So yeah, I'll show you guys the slot we're thinking. Okay, so we think this is the entry point here, and then you can see if I, whoop, this is a little bit precarious. You can see there's a way to get through the rocks here. So come around the side, down here, then underneath this rock, and then have a look at that. Crazy stuff. That's almost as crazy as your hat, Adam. Now, once we get to the edge of this, the end of this chute, it's sort of enters a main slot, and you could either go all the way through the cliffs that way, all the way through that way, or potentially even through the middle, and it's really not clear. So yeah, in these circumstances, it just pays to take a moment, refresh your energy, have a think about it, and attempt it that way rather than trying to rush down, because that's when you make a mistake and can potentially get yourself in a pretty bad situation. So that's what we're going to do. Fortunately, the view is reasonably acceptable from up here, so not too bad. Alrighty, we've just had a quick lunch, and before we attempt the slot pass, we're just going to have a look along the cliffs here, and so we can find an alternate entrance or exit. There appears to be quite a feasible ramp a couple of 100 meters further on the cliff line, so we're just going to check that out quickly. Probably won't go all the way through, but we'll just make sure that there is an alternate way in and out, just in case something goes wrong and we get stuck. So you might be able to make out just in the distance there that the trees come all the way up through the cliff line, and that's usually a good indication that the ground is broken, and you can normally find a way through those sorts of areas. We've just wandered a few hundred meters along the cliff line, and we have found what looks to be a pretty viable ramp to get through the cliffs. So it's good to know there is an option if for whatever reason the weather changes and we can't use that slot canyon. Noting yet we haven't fully checked that one out, but yeah, always good to do a little bit of research. I'd say that's doable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're good. We're here. Through the tunnel and away we go.
So we're just going to help ourselves. We found another way in through this crazy little arch that I'm sitting under right now. Smile. It's pretty cool. It's nice just to have the freedom and the flexibility to just explore. You know, we've got a plan, but while we're here, we're checking a few other things out, and yeah, it's always cool to get a chance to wander around this amazing country. Yep. It's pretty awesome, guys. This is a spectacular part of the world. Even though it looks like it's burnt pretty heavily here, it's the rock formations are amazing. But we've got a crazy little slot pass to go and explore, so we better hightail it back there and have a look, see what's going to happen. Alrighty guys, well we're back at the slot canyon, or the slot pass. It looks pretty steep from up here, so I'm leaving the backpack behind. I do have another GoPro, so I'm going to take you guys with me. What I'm doing is just doing a bit of a reconnaissance trip. I just want to make sure that, see how this goes before we commit with backpacks on. And Adam's up here holding the camera, but it also means that if something goes wrong, he's able to render some sort of assistance, whatever that might be. So anyway, let's go have a look and see what we can find. See if this one's on. Hopefully this is going to be a interesting way down. Already it's very far down from here. Oh no, this is alright. This is going to be a bit dodgy with packs on though. Might have to pass those down, I think. This is certainly crazy. Very narrow. Definitely climbable. Looks worse than it is actually. Hello up there. Let's have a look at what this way's like. Oh. Gee, that's pretty narrow. That's very narrow. Don't think my bag's gonna fit through that. Oh, holy moly. Oh, wow. Wow. Hello up there, guys. So neither option is particularly good. There's a very narrow slot passage down this way, which is certainly safer, but it's very narrow, and so getting the backpacks through there is going to be a real struggle. There's another one just behind me in the center here. That one certainly looks wider, but it's steeper, and yeah, it looks like there's a few loose rocks there. So I think we're gonna play it safe and go back to the one we just discovered. This is really cool, but it's certainly not worth the risk, I don't think. So yeah, let's pull the plug on this one, I think. Okay, this is going to be a little challenging climb. Now I don't want to hold any of those rocks because they could come loose. Oh, yeah, that's what I think. Well, that was really cool to explore, but yeah, it's not worth taking the risk. It looks pretty sketchy down there, so yeah. Let's take the other pass, mate. What do you reckon? Let's do it. So we've come back down that pass and we're now descending into the valley below. You can probably see the pretty impressive cliffs behind me. I'm just watching where I'm going because this is pretty precarious soft soil with loose rocks and some sort of amazing weed that smells very fragrant. So we're just going to try and make our way to the base of the slot pass we didn't go down, just to see what it's like from the bottom. This is a pretty amazing landscape, and these trees have been absolutely hammered by the fires, but they're still hanging on, which is so good. I have never seen a tree coppice to this extent before. That's so good. It's just got leaves coming out of every single part of the trunk. Yeah, the will to live is pretty strong out here. You can see just up here, that is the slot that I was in, and from down here, I mean, I'm sure it's doable. There's a way to get through, I can see it, but wow, with a heavy pack on, that would be very dangerous. So yeah, we totally made the right call. You could definitely do it, but geez, you wouldn't want to do it unless you had to, that's for sure. So we've decided to go straight for the creek. We're going to try and angle around the base of the cliffs and find a descent closer to the river flat that we're aiming for. But looking at the country between here and there, it all looks much for muchness. So we're dropping down now as soon as we can. Going to hit that creek, and then yeah, we'll have less than a K to go on the creek. So I think that's as good a plan as any. It looks like there's a potential cliff line here, so not on the maps, as they often aren't. This could cause some issues. Hopefully it's just really steep and we better find a way through. This is always the risk when you sort of exploring off track. It actually looks like there's a reasonable way down, so I think we're okay, but you're you can see that there is quite a distinct drop off here. But I think we should be able to pick our way through this little gully and down and around. But yeah, always there's a big gully there actually, so not ideal. Just at the base of that point down there is where we want to camp, so we're not very far, but yeah, I think this is doable, but not ideal. Alright, so I'm going to go first. Adam's going to hang back just a little while to make sure he doesn't send any rocks down on me. There's a lot of loose rocks here, and yeah, I mean this is far from ideal, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of great options, so even if we did walk around, we'd still be in a similar situation. Alright, I've just made it about halfway down. I've moved off to the side now. Adam is coming down as well. Yeah, a lot of people don't realise how dangerous that can be, and there's nothing worse than walking with a group of people who just charge down one after the other through that sort of country. So yeah, always give each other plenty of space. The last thing you want out here is a big rock coming down on top of you, or to send a rock down on someone else. Oh. So we're about halfway down, making pretty good progress. You can probably see the cliff poking through the trees behind me. Might just have a quick drink of water and then we'll keep going down. We're not too far from the bottom now, so it's been a reasonably easy descent. Yeah, looking forward to setting up camp though. Bag's feeling pretty heavy. All right, well we're almost down the creek. Quite a lot of weeds down here, so yeah, it must have been an old grazing area. I'm pretty sure a lot of these aren't native, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it's 20 past 2, so if we get to camp by about 3 o'clock or thereabouts, a couple of hours to set up and relax, that'd be really nice. Oh, getting pretty tired now, but almost there. So the fires, when they burn through here, they actually left some of the trees intact, which is amazing. But then you have these little patches where you can just see the fire is burnt. Yeah, it's really strange. It's I think the fire must have been burning relatively slowly through here, so it didn't have some of that intensity that other places had, which has meant that some of the bigger trees in the wetter areas have survived, which is really great. We're almost at a destination. On the other side of here you can see the land is sloping down, and we just need to get around this point, then we can start looking for a campsite. Just been walking along the creek. The flat is pretty trashed, so this is some of the better grass we've seen. There's a few trees to tie off to, so that's always good. River's a little way down that way. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
not bad.
Decent chance that there's another one.
Okay. Alrighty, we've just caucused and we're gonna wander back and just have a look at a couple of other places before we make our minds up and set up camp. The ground is flat and the grass isn't too bad, but you always want a nice camp, so we're just going to put a little bit of extra work in and see if we can find a good spot. Interestingly, there is sign of wild cattle in here. There's a fairly regular amount of cow pats around. So that'd be interesting if we came across some wild cattle. Could be a big barbecue. Joking. Alrighty, we've walked a couple hundred meters. We found another open area. It's not flat. We're on quite a bit of a hill here. So we're just scouting out. We've got good grass, good visibility, but just not a lot of flat ground. And yeah, ideally a little bit of flat ground and something to tie the tarp to would be nice, but all things considered, not too bad. But yeah, just a bit of hunting around required to find an okay spot. So Adam's found his spot. Throw a tarp over him, he says. Look, there's not a lot of great options here, but I think we're going to have to make do. So we're on a decent slope here. The camera probably doesn't show it, but between these two trees here, and then these trees here, we've got some flat enough ground that we can make it work, and we've got some nice grass. And yeah, I think we can make this spot pretty decent. We got firewood. Well, it's pretty crappy firewood. It's just acacia, but so yeah, we're both feeling it. It's been a big day, but yeah, I think we're going to make this work because we're just both exhausted. So yeah, check back in soon. Catch. So I'm going to do a basic lean-to, but then with a bit of a, I don't know, awning coming out the top. Pretty simple tarp setup. I'd like to do something more elaborate, but it's 3:30, so I've got an hour and a half of light left, and just want to get camp squared away. We might get a bit of rain tonight, so we do need to make sure that we've got a good pitch. But apart from that, yeah, then it's time to get the fire on and relax. So I do need just a couple of toggles to connect the tarp up to the prusik loops. So they're already pre-attached to my tarp, my ridge line I should say, not my tarp. No rocks. You want a hammer or?
You got a hammer?
I threw one over there somewhere. Yeah, if you go to the creek and lug some rocks back up here, that'd be awesome. There it is, yep. Almost there. it's pretty good. I've got my bug net in here. I've pegged it out, but I'm not going to set it up completely because I want to sit under here tonight. We're going to have a fire sort of somewhere where the camera is. And yeah, so nice to have camp largely squared away. Just got to clean up a bit of my stuff. It's kind of gone everywhere as it always does. And then got a couple more jobs to do. We need to go get some firewood. There's quite a bit of dead timber here, but it's mostly wattle wood and it doesn't burn very well. So it'd be nice to have some eucalypts. There's some gum trees quite close by, so we'll go get some firewood. And I'm almost out of water, so need to get some water as well. So it's never done, there's always something to do out here. But this has worked out pretty well. Got a nice spot on the hill. Got a beautiful view out over that way to the hill opposite the creek. About 100 metres or so from the creek, so I can hear it, the gurgling and the running water. And behind me, I've got a really awesome set of cliffs. So yeah, it's worked out pretty well. Oh. Alrighty, just got some water and yeah, starting to lose light. Got less than an hour left, so gonna go get some firewood. And then yeah, the ground's pretty wet, the grass is wet. So yeah, I need to get a fire going to keep warm. I think it's gonna be certainly a coolish night. But it should be good. So I've actually had to come a reasonable distance from camp to find some eucalypt that has come down, but yeah, unfortunate because the fire's been through here. All the branches that would normally be on the ground have sort of burnt, so yeah, there's a few of these fallen trees, but there's not as much good hardwood as I was hoping for. Alright, one more cut and then I'm going to start lugging it back to camp. Oh, knackered. Alright, let's get this wood back to camp and get the fire on. Oh, not gonna lie, I'm pretty tired. On the other hand, Adam's looking sprightly, he's on fire duty, so... How are you doing, Adam?
I'll be great in about 10 minutes. Cheers, mate. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, everyone. Oh. Got a party and book from Garage Project. Fantastic. Oh, that's exceptional.
Holy shinto. Are you cooking a steak?
I am. In about 5 hours.
I think I'm gonna put some hot and spicy noodles in my tin in a second and go for meal one after I finish this beer.
I think some 2-minute noodles. It's difficult to think of a food that accompanies beer better than 2-minute noodles. just kicking back by the fire, enjoying a nice cold beer. What do you got, Adams?
This is a crankshaft from Bent Spoke.
Bent Spoke IPA. I've also got a Bent Spoke. I've got a Bent Spoke Descent 20 Russian Imperial Stout. And yeah, this thing's a little, what is it, 10%, so it's got a little bite to it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, we've both got 2-minute noodles on the fire. I'm gonna have a little pre-snack and then move into a main course of steak grilled onto the fire. It's gonna be amazing. But first, it's gonna be a nice cold beer. Hope you're doing well, guys. Hope everything's well where you are. That is ridiculous how good that is.
Yep. 10% stout is a worthy beer.
3 standard drinks. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you beat me. It's like the like the pinch move, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh, he pulled out the Imperials.
Trading alcohol volume for weight. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm just going straight whiskey next time.
I've been there and come back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, learned that the hard way. Well, hello again. It's time for a little bit of steak on the fire action. I've got this really awesome piece of prime rib, and it's got this really interesting spice mix I got in Tasmania when I was on holidays over summer. It's a ginseng spice mix. Tastes like nothing else I've ever had before. And then I've got some herbs from the garden. Kind of done the old stabby with a Swiss Army knife in the steak. And yeah, got some oregano, some sage and some rosemary. So yeah, flavour city. Adam's done pretty much the same with his nice chunk of meat. So the fire's been going now for a couple of hours. We've just been relaxing. It's been really awesome. The 2-minute noodles were absolutely superb. We've both got some rice on the fire, and now it's time to cook up the steak. I reckon, given how thick this is, I'm probably looking at least 8 minutes each side, maybe 7. And Adam's a little bit thinner, so we'll see how we go. All right, we've got some really good coals going on here.
Oh, you get that broken in there.
Let's take that off the fire a little bit. All right. Now, a couple of chunks of sacrificial wood. Oh, look at that. All right, the steak looks pretty bloody awesome. Oh, pretty excited about this, to be honest. This is a nice cut of meat, and it's cooked really well. The ginseng spice is just phenomenal. It certainly makes it worthwhile after all the hard work to get here. To be able to just relax by the fire, enjoy catching up with a good friend, and yeah, have a couple of beers and a nice chunk of meat. How's your steak, Ads?
Well and truly gone.
Yeah, it is gone, yeah. All right, everybody. Well, I think I'm going to stop filming here for the night. I've got some mushroom risotto and a nice chunk of steak and a nice stout. So yeah, happy times. Adam's almost done. I don't think that touched the sides at all. That's disappeared. Yeah, time to just relax and enjoy being outside and camping and get some fire time. So we'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Had a couple of hours of rain last night, but I'm glad to say both of our tarps held up extremely well. There was no wind; it was just rain, and yeah, it's pretty nice laying under the tarp and just listening to the rain for a bit. Slept really well, and you won't be surprised to hear now it's definitely coffee time.
Ooh, hot. That was not pre-prepared.
Adam's guaranteed himself a walking trip home because he brought instant coffee. It's completely unacceptable. It sounds quite windy up on the top, so we're a couple hundred meters below the cliff line, and yeah, it sounds pretty blowy up there, which is not particularly good because there's a lot of pretty burnt trees up there at the moment. So hopefully 5 months on, a lot of the really damaged ones would have blown over by now, so it's probably not too risky. Adam's on special effects this morning. It's actually a good illustration of why the fires here are so horrendous. There's so much oil in the gum leaves that they literally just explode when they get in contact with fire. It's kind of incredible to see it. Well, this is the biggest coffee I've made in a while. All the way to the top.
Does that percolator collapse?
It does, yeah, pretty nifty. So the only packet of bacon I had in the freezer was quite a large one, so Adam's very kindly offered to help me out with it. You're a good bloke, Adam.
I do my bit. I do my best.
So yeah, nice cruisy morning. It's 8:30, so we're probably, realistically, by the time we've got breakfast sorted and packed up, put a lot of water on the fire, that we're probably unlikely to start walking until about 10 o'clock. And yeah, it's going to take a number of hours to get back to the car, I think, so it'll be another big day. But yeah, really nice to be out again, and last night just listening to the rain, it was really good. And really nice to be able to test the tarp system in that sort of climate, so that was good. Alright, I don't have any eggs or anything, but what I do have is a little bit of dip for my lunch. So I've got like a beetroot dip, so I'm going to put that in my muffin, and then a bit of bacon on top. It'll be happy days. I'm also in that stage of the trip where we've got a really big climb coming up, and anything that we can get out of the pack to make it a little bit lighter is a good move. Yeah, and really enjoying this out in goods mug. You would have seen it from my luxury gear video a little while ago. As I've been mucking around filming and cooking bacon, my coffee's still hot, so yeah, that's awesome. Oh, so good.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. A little better than the porridge?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm gonna starting to give up that dream of eating porridge one day when I come hiking with you. I should just join in the bacon revolution and be done with it.
It's a safer place.
There is a reason why they cure meats, right?
Exactly.
So you can take them hiking.
That's right. Round 2, I reckon. Ooh, toasty goodness. All packed up, plenty of water on the fire, and yeah, the weather can't really make up its mind what it's doing today. It's now getting windy down here in the valley, so I imagine up on top it's still pretty crazy. But there's nothing for it except to yeah, start walking. Ads, any funny anecdotes or any humorous remarks or
Nothing
insightful?
humorous, nothing insightful. My legs are about to start talking, so let's go.
Let's do it. So right in the distance, up here, that little rock mound, that's where we have to climb up to. It looks a long way from here, far too far.
It's only 700 metres there.
As Adam points out, it's only 700 metres as the crow flies. Unfortunately, we're not crows, so we have to take the long way. So this is the start of the climb out, and my legs are already protesting. I don't want to go up there. All the way up the top there, that's where we got to go. We're about 2/3 of the way up. We've been walking for about 50 minutes, and yeah, the wind's certainly pretty strong up here. We've got yeah, one more little line of rocks to navigate, and then it'll be steep, and then that should get us to the base of the cliff. So yeah, this is probably the most technical section through here. Nice. Alrighty, well, we're up through the most technical part of the climb. We can see the base of the rocks from here, so it's probably another 100 metres or so. But yeah, good to be up this far. Well, pretty much at the base of the cliffs now. Yeah, they looked a long way away an hour ago, but it just goes to show that if you put one foot in front of the other, you can actually do some pretty amazing things. Well, not so far to go now. At least to get to the top. We're just scrambling up the last piece of ground before we go through that little cave, and then we'll be back pretty much on the surface, so that'll be great. So yeah, it should be about 11:30 by the time we get to the top, so just over an hour and a half, which isn't too bad. Oh, apples. Hurrah, made it to the top. It's a pretty awesome feeling. What do you reckon, Ads?
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
Happened quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah. Look guys, we've got a long slog ahead of us, so we're going to stop and have a bite to eat here. So I might leave the video here. Just really want to thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your support. If you haven't already done so before, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, it really does help the channel out. If you have any comments, please let me know. Any questions, feel free to ask those below. And otherwise, Ads, thanks for an awesome adventure.
Thanks, man.
We'll see you guys next time.